Hi, and welcome to Unit 12, Part 3. We'll be taking a look at advocacy through research and stories. What is advocacy? Advocacy is, or an advocate is, someone who pleads the cause of another, someone who defends or maintains a cause or proposal, and one that supports or promotes the interests of another person. So advocacy is the act of being an advocate, which is each one of those points. So it's someone who steps up and steps out for another person. Here's a rather grainy, not so great picture of my daughter Hannah. This is when she was in her second to the last year of college. She went to school at UC Santa Cruz, and it was 2 weeks following a sexual assault. Hannah's a very effervescent, fun-loving person, and from her childhood on, when she entered a room, she filled it. You could tell she was there. She's got a very bright spirit. Following a sexual assault at college, she lost her spirit. She became less effervescent by far. She held herself into her room. We got her into therapy immediately, talking to crisis counselors and so forth. 2 weeks later, she was climbing up this mountain. When she got to the top of the mountain, she knew what she wanted to do with her life. She knew that she knew now what it felt like to lose her voice. The circumstances from this assault were mortifying, and she found herself to be voiceless, that society had shut her mouth. And in fact, some of the first things that were told to her were that she better not tell anyone because this could ruin the perpetrator's life. Yes, society's attitudes, victim blaming, and she realized how powerful that was. On this ascension to the mountain, her advocacy started. She decided that now that she knew what being voiceless felt like, that she could not bear living the rest of her life not being a voice, that knowing this and needing to be a voice for other people. So on this ascension to the top of this mountain, she decided she was going to become a social worker and a lawyer. She also knew that she wanted to work with women and children and help advocate for them because they are often without a voice. First journal for this portion, Journal 2, I'd like you to note who does not have a voice in our society and why may they be hindered from speaking out. I want you to discuss a time when you were hindered from speaking out. What was the situation and why did you feel as you did? This quote is my favorite to talk about when we talk about advocacy. Does a flap of a butterfly's wing in Brazil set off a tornado in Texas? This is the ripple effect. I like to think about the world being much like caterpillars that we're caterpilling along and we're eating, and in the butterfly effect, we're making a difference, but it's not nearly as dramatic as it will be once we have blossomed into our butterfly. If you've ever held a butterfly in your hand, you know that the flapping of the wings is ever so gentle. The question in the butterfly effect that was asked is, can something as insignificant as the flap of a butterfly's wing eventually create a tornado hundreds of thousands of miles away? Ponder. Saying, does that word or gesture today, will it have a meaning this afternoon, tomorrow, in a year? Of course it does. Of course it does. I'd like you to think about a time when you stood up for yourself and being bold. And I'll explain this a little further. So when Hannah decided that she was going to be an advocate, she boldly then articulated such. She then decided that she would also become a CASA, a court-appointed special advocate. And when she did that, she was assigned a case child. through Voices for Children, and she then became a voice for this foster child. She had this foster child for numerous years. In fact, she's still connected to this child, who's no longer a child. She's now an adult. And when she was able to go to the court and stand up for this case child, she was empowered. Today, she is a lawyer. She does work in family law. She did get her master's in social work, and she has accomplished the goal she set out when she ascended that mountain in Santa Cruz County. I'd like you to consider a time when you were bold and you spoke up for the sake of your family and your community and your world. What was it like? How did others respond? Consider why they may have responded as they did and why you felt as you did. I have a story I want to tell you. It's a quick story, I hope. But the pictures show children at a park and a child smoking. There was an 8-year-old boy in National City who was tired of seeing cigarette butts around his playground. And so he came home and he complained to his parents. And his parents said, you know what, get your name on the National City Council meeting minutes. And so he did. And he and his buddies put together garbage cans filled with cigarette butts, and off they went to the City Council meeting, wanting the City Council to make some laws about smoking at the playground. They found the butts, of course, to be rather stinky and gross, and his voice was heard, and the City Council started making a move in a direction to consider laws that would affect playgrounds and smoking. At that time, Juan Vargas was the representative for that portion of San Diego County and for our state, and he got wind of this little boy and his advocacy, and Juan tapped into this little boy and his advocacy, and sure enough, he wrote a bill and took it to Sacramento along with the little boy, and voila, not only did they have a bill, but it was then revised. A bill was written, a law was made that no person shall smoke a cigar, cigarette, or any other tobacco-related product within 25 feet of any playground or tot lot sandbox area. Any person who violates this section is guilty of an infraction and shall be punished by a fine of $250 for each violation of this section. Laws were made, changes took place because of this little 8-year-old boy. You might find this interesting. This is a butterfly effect. This is a ripple effect. Other states have followed suit. So California was the first because of this little 8-year-old boy, and other states are now following suit. True advocacy. There are various ways for us to be advocates. We speak out on behalf of children with the idea to improve the life of a child beyond our own family. We want to hold public officials accountable for the commitment and for a national commitment in actions as well as words, and I want you to be particularly vigilant about finding out what's happening at the federal level these days. Are our families and children being held in esteem? We encourage organizations to commit to children and families, and we urge others to become children's champions. What does an advocate do? Advocates are visible, they become informed, they get more information about what either the person or the platform. They're able to tell the story, much like I just told the story about our little 8-year-old. Adapt and replicate so that others can follow suit. One of the over the last years, we've been having a lot of platforms for protests and people coming together to rally for support about ideas. This is an act of advocacy. Join professional organizations and connect with community power structures. This means we hold hands with others like us so that we can become more powerful in numbers. Contacting representatives so that laws can take place. Of course, voting on those laws and making sure that those laws do get passed as we want them to, and that we persist, that we are vigilant. There are steps for individual advocacy. Again, it's about knowing our facts and our rights. When Hannah decided to become a lawyer, that was her biggest reason initially, was to know the law. She knew that she would be a better advocate for others if she had the law knowledge behind her. We put together policies. We make sure that we well document them. We look at various options for achieving our goals. We meet with other officials, and we never go alone with meeting with other officials. We want to have a lot of support, so we rally with support. We always are to the point. We follow proper channels, which means that we're going to be upfront about what it is we want, much like our little boy did, our little National City boy. He went proper channels, followed protocol, put his name on the agenda, went to the meeting, and then so forth. Letters are important as well. The first steps to public advocacy is to make a commitment and stay informed. I put a web link here, theleginfo.ca.gov. Please go to that. You will find all of your legislators there. Know the process. The process looks like this. Bills are introduced and they go to one of the floors. After there's discussion, and then they need to go to the second. We have a check and balance system. Once both committees have just passed the law, or the bill, I should say, then it goes to the governor. The governor has choices. He can sign it immediately and go into action. He can leave it lay on his desk without a signature and it goes into action without a signature, or he can veto it. Now, a veto can be overcome by the legislative branches if 2/3 have chosen to circumvent the governor's veto. So we have a check and balances system. Always express your views and let other people know, as per the stories both with Hannah and with our little National City Advocate. Be visible. Always show appreciation to those who are in practice. For instance, when you contact your legislators, let them know that you appreciate that they are following the protocol, that they're working on making changes that will legitimize the changes that we want to have done. Implementation, especially with respect to bills and bills that we want to have changes for. Rapport and trust, and educate. We can't assume that our legislators know everything, and they certainly don't know everything about education and early childhood concerns. One of my favorite advocates, Marian Wright Edelman. When I fight about what's going on in the neighborhood, or when I fight about what's happening to other people's children, I'm doing that because I want to leave the community and world I want to leave a community and world that is better than the one I found. I'd like you to be bold. Journal 4, more pondering. What is your specific passion for leaving the world better than you found it? And ta-da, there's a picture of my daughter Hannah and me. Thank you.